Welcome to Peppershock Media's Marketing Expedition podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in marketing and advertising. Now here's your host, Ray Allen.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm your host, Ray Allen, with Peppershock Media and founder of the Marketing Expedition community. And today I have a treat. We have Maggie Dennison with us. Welcome, Maggie.
Thank you for having me, Ray.
And Maggie, I want our listeners to learn a little bit more about you and your background and just share kind of the journey of where you were and what got you where you are now. Wow.
Well, I always like to say I'm your original Irish vagabond. So I've come to where I am through lots and lots of journeys and corners and detours. When I finished college, I went into the corporate world and worked there for about 20 years. I ended up working for a computer company in Germany because I lived in Germany for a long time. And I was a project leader and I managed a group of editors and graphic artists. We produced all the training materials that were used all over Europe in English and in Germany in German. This was before the internet was big, so everything was cut and paste and paper. Yeah. So I did that, and then I quit, and I thought, had enough of this. I quit. I left Germany.
After 20 years, right? You said after 20 years, yeah.
Yep. And before this, I grew up in Ireland, lived in England, lived in France, and ended up in Germany. So I quit there, and I moved to Santa Monica. I quit this big corporate job, and I moved to Santa Monica to go to a graduate school, and I trained to be a psychotherapist.
Wow.
Never
Marketing
did the license.
and psychotherapy. I guess that kind of, go together.
Psychology, yeah. And I never did the license or the work because I realized by the time I'd finished that, I used to say, you don't wake up some fine morning and say, the bees are buzzing and the birds are humming. It's a beautiful day in sunny Southern California. And I think I'll go see a therapist. You go see a therapist because you're miserable. And I couldn't work with that kind of energy. But beautiful work, but not mine to do. And that's when I became a coach instead back in the late 90s.
Nice. Yeah.
I was one of the first coaches out there. And from there, it kind of morphed into, I figured out people didn't know how to create a message. So I started writing for them. And then I became a copywriter. Did that full time for about 10 years because after 9/11 the bottom fell out of the coaching market.
Oh, right. Yes.
It was discretionary expense. So I was a copywriter full time for about 10 years. And then I went back into coaching. I've never been good at doing just one thing. So I'm back into coaching, but this time just for marketing, not the whole business thing with systems and finance. That bores me, except when it's mine. Ended up coaching with just for marketing. So I did marketing, coaching, and I did messaging. So I did those two things.
And married them together.
Married them together. And often like the writing clients needed marketing help and the marketing clients needed writing help. So they fed each other. These days, I do much less writing. I do a lot of editing actually for people who've done stuff and want me to take a look. I'll take a look and I'll talk them through and coach them through what's wrong, what's working, what's not working, and how to do it well. So it becomes more of a coaching relationship rather than me writing for them, which is much more fun actually. And then the other side of the marketing, the coaching business is that these days I look at myself as kind of like a mentor and a teacher for business owners on bringing together the magic of mindset and marketing. Because things are never as smooth. Things right now are not as smooth as they used to be. And so much of what stops us is in our heads. You think, well, because of COVID, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I'm scared, or all the kind of rational belief systems come in and you sabotage yourself. Because what I realize is that when people get stuck in their marketing, most of the time it's easy enough to help them figure out what to do. I mean, there's some foundational work and some stuff you need to know, like your ideal client and your differentiation and your branding image and all that kind of stuff. But where people get stuck is they've got all that down, they've got the strategy, they've got the action plan, and then they get stuck implementing. And where they get stuck is here, between their ears.
The mindset, yeah.
The mindset,
right, yes.
So that's why it's so much more important to deal with that mindset first, because then you can do the marketing with ease and grace and flow and much less struggle. Because you're not in your head, like I'm a prime example of this. I overthink everything. I can go round and round my head overthinking everything. I need my coach to say, stop it.
Yes,
overthinking doesn't matter, So what it really is combining that, what I call the inner game with the nuts and bolts of marketing. So one feeds the other. It's like I'm a big believer in your inner world is reflected in your outer world. You know, so what happens in your outer world has something to do with what's happening inside in your thoughts and your belief systems.
So are you working a lot with just solo entrepreneurs, or is it corporates, or a mixture of both? Or kind of tell me, who are you helping here?
Mainly solos or partnerships. When I was doing a lot more writing, I did a fair amount of writing for corporate. But for corporate training companies, I come from a training background, so I understood what they were talking about. But now it's mainly solos or partnerships, or a group of maybe there's two or three people running your business together. That's my sweet spot. And on top of that, I work best with the kind of people who understand what I'm talking about. Like, it's not all about the external stuff. There's an inner thing. There's an awareness, kind of consciousness that's bigger than just, I'm going to pick up my phone and call 25 people a day. That inner part of what's going on. So I work best with people who have that kind of awareness, or if they don't have it complete, are willing to learn.
Tell me kind of a typical journey or process that you go through. I know we've talked about where you do classes for people, or you're kind of putting together that. If somebody wanted to kind of go through that with you and get their mindset in the right space, what would that look like? How would they work with you?
Well, the first thing I typically do is see if I talk to people off the bat, saying, well, let's look at your mindset. They don't know where to go with that. So we usually start with the marketing. What are you doing? What's working? What hasn't worked? And then we look at things like, who's your ideal client? What are you trying to do? What's your strategy? We look at all that basic stuff first. And then it's easier to get to where are you stuck.
Right.
Because if I start with what's the mindset that's stuck in you, they have no idea how to answer that question. So we have to start with the nuts and bolts of marketing, look at what they're trying to do, where they want to be, and then we can get into, well, why are you not there yet? And sometimes it's just knowledge, and sometimes it's what's going on inside the head. And then we can decide, and I always let my clients decide, well, here's the options. We can do this, we can go this way, and here's the ups and downsides of that, or we can go this way, and here's the ups and downsides of that. And I make my recommendation by saying, in the end, you're the client, you get to choose. So I'm not a believer in kind of hammering people with my opinion because I think it's right. People have to make their own decisions. Because if I try and force my decision on people, there's going to be a little bit of resistance and a little bit of not quite bought into it enough. But if I let them make the choice, and usually what will happen, I'll say, well, I think here's what I'd like to, and they'll come back and say, what do you think of that? And then I'll give them my opinion. In the end, they usually go with what I say, but I give them that permission to tell me what you think would work best for you. I think it's respectful of people.
Sure.
To honor that they have an opinion. Yeah.
Do you have an example of maybe a client that you worked with that if you can care to share, if you have that ability to do that, just kind of how did you help somebody overcome their mindset in their messaging and what you did with them? Walk me through what you did.
I think the example that pops in my mind immediately is a client here locally. I don't have that many local clients. This local client, she owns the best ballroom dance studio in town here. And we started working together about a year and a half ago because she wanted to build her business up. She wanted to introduce more services, and she just needed support. People often come, they have kind of concrete things they want to do, but sometimes it's just the support and somebody to bounce ideas off. So we started, and strange enough, I would go and sit with her in her studio once a week. Normally I don't even see my clients, but because she's like a mile from where I live, I said, well, let's get together and we'd sit in the studio. And
this is where in California again, did you say?
In Santa Barbara.
California.
Santa Barbara, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd go over there and we'd sit in her studio and we'd start off talking about, okay, usually what I just said. So what are you doing? What's worked so far? Where have you hit the wall? What would you like to be doing? And she had all these great ideas. She wanted to do she had like 600 videos, teaching videos. She wanted to get them all online and do online classes. And she does like a million things. She's really talented. She's a beautiful, beautiful teacher. I sat in on some of her classes. She's just such a beautiful teacher. She makes it, because she does the whole, not just dance, but movement. She's more like a movement person, and she incorporates the whole movement. It's about movement, not about dance and learning dance stuff, but about movement, keeping your body in good shape. Mm-hmm. So we started talking about what she actually wants and where she wanted to go to. And then just in the conversation, things would come up and I'd say, well, have you tried so-and-so? Well, no. have you thought of it? Yes. Well, why haven't you done it? Well, because as soon as you hear the word, I haven't because, you know, there's an obstacle there.
Right.
So then after, I always said, what's after the because?
Mm-hmm.
So,
or no more
but,
buts.
or no because, exactly. Buts, and I discovered with her, a lot of her, what was holding her back was stuff in her head. There were things she was very scared of. And a lot of this goes back to childhood stuff, you know, things she was taught in childhood. Now, I do not go into childhood trauma. If people really get into that deeply, I say go see a therapist, because I know that's what I chose not to do.
Exactly. You've at least had some education enough to know what you don't want to do.
What I don't want to do, I didn't want to deal with, and I have the qualifications and training to do it, but that's not my work. So if somebody gets really into a lot of childhood trauma, to a point where some of it depends what it is, some I can deal with, but if it gets too deep, I'll say go see a therapist.
Right.
So she had things going on like that. She'd never felt acknowledged, that everything she was doing was doing to try and please people. So we worked a lot on this whole people-pleasing thing.
Right.
And how could she be more solid in herself and her own self-esteem, to not worry about what other people think, to be able to stand up. And she's the best bottom teacher around, to tell you that. How could she stand firm in who she is? So that, because what happens when you're really secure in who you are, what other people say doesn't matter. Right. But she was buying into what other people said. People say, what will they say? So we worked a lot on how she could improve her self-esteem, her sense of herself, and get really, then some with her it came down to confidence, her own confidence in what she was doing. And I had to talk her through, I had to look at her, I had to talk her through her background, her training, all the things she'd done. And I said, where does a lack of confidence come in? Because she had so much training. The woman is so brilliant. She's so brilliant, not just what she does, but in the whole kind of personal development side of things. She'd done so much of her own work on that side, but she was stuck. She couldn't get, all her personal development couldn't get her past her own stuff. That's what happened. You can't see your own stuff. So we worked a lot on her own confidence and building her own sense of, I'm okay the way I am. And it doesn't matter what other people say. Most of the time, there's a caveat. I would say 95% of the time, it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah, well, I think that is true, whether it's in marketing or in life in general, but you're right.
Life in general, yes. But when it's in marketing, because we're talking here specifically about marketing, those are things that can go, I can't because. That's when the becauses and the buts come in. Mm-hmm. And that's we worked a lot on getting her really solid in herself. And it was good because we'd done a lot of the same personal growth stuff back in the day, like years and years and years ago. So I could refer to that and the things we learned. No, we hadn't done together, stuff I'd done in Europe and she'd done here, but same systems we'd both done. So over time, we just got her to the point where she'd say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I said, so what if the people don't like it? She said, doesn't matter. And it wasn't like, I don't care. It's like, she was very quiet and very calm. Said, it really doesn't matter. So I had to get her to that point, and then she could go out and as you know, when you go out and you present yourself with that kind of confidence, people pick up on it. But if you're presenting yourself with this kind of, not quite sure, are you going to like me? Are you going to not like me? People pick up on your energy.
Right.
And then people who are hiring professionals, they want to know that you're an expert. They want to know that you're solid, that you're solid in yourself. Because otherwise, why would they trust you?
Yeah.
So we took her there, and then we were in the middle of doing some other great stuff, and then COVID happened, and she had to close her studio.
Right.
Because of course, ballroom dance can't get up close and personal. So she closed her studio. We talk on the phone every now and then just to check in.
It sounds like she's got some videos, though. At least that was going for her. So hopefully that.
She was working. Yeah, she was working. Then she started working together. We looked at who else could help on the technical side, and she's been working with a company. I can't remember where. Together we picked out this company who could help her put all the videos. Oh, she had them all online. Who could help her build an online, because I know roughly what to do, but they could help with the whole technical side of building this building out this whole online thing. Right. So she's been doing that.
And if you ever need a company that does that, I know of one that happens to be mine, Pepper Shock Media.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, she has something. But if I know anybody else, because we just went through and picked a company that looked good, because I didn't really have enough. I had connections, but not ones who had the depth of experience that she needed.
Yeah.
So. She shifted completely her whole attitude, and her parents, her whole attitude towards her parents shifted, because always like pleasing her parents. That's really what a lot of this stuff comes down to, is if you're people pleasers, really, what you're really doing is pleasing your parents. It's all childhood stuff. It's all childhood stuff. Most, not all, most of it's childhood stuff. And now she goes to visit her parents. I could stand up. She says, last time I was there, my dad wanted me to do such and stuff, such and such. I said, no. Like standing up for herself, but not in a nasty fighting back, but just in a very calm, no, don't want to do it.
Don't want to do that. Nope.
Don't do it. And because boundaries. Of that, boundaries, because of that, the quality of her work with her clients shifted, because she's showing up differently.
That sounds pretty amazing. Of
course, when COVID happened, we talked about, well, can we still maybe work together? And she said, this was so true. She, my studio's closed. I don't even know how much income I'll have coming in, or how long this thing's going to go on for. So it was really, she was doing pretty well, but she didn't know. Look how long it's gone on for now, And it was really the uncertainty of, can I afford to keep doing things that aren't absolutely necessary?
Right.
And at the time, we talked to her, and I said, if you're more comfortable taking a break, do it, because there's no point in working with me if you're going to feel awkward or scared that the money's going to run out next month. That's not in service to you at all. So, but we talk on the phone every couple of weeks. We just check in and see what's happening.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully things will turn around here, and she'll get to have her studio open and do all the things that she's learned, that she can, implement from what you've taught her, and how you can get that going. That's good.
And then she got married. She had a boyfriend back east. He's still back east. They met through ballroom dance originally, but then he moved back east. And they got married, and she invited me. They had the wedding reception at the studio. She invited me to the wedding reception. It was lovely. It was lovely. So part of our conversation is always, what's going on with the other half, because he's still back east and she's still here.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Yeah. Well, that seems like it would be something to definitely look into and follow, of this ballet studio in Santa Barbara.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially there's online classes now. That seems really cool.
Yeah.
I know I could use some pointers in how to be more graceful, because I always my balance has not always been great. So I remember taking a ballet class just to try to work on my balance and gracefulness, and my little sister was the one who could have all the dance skills. I was not that person, so I imagine she can help lots of people. Right.
Do you know a really quick exercise for balance? You just stand up. I think it was originally yoga. Actually, you stand up and you fix your eyes on a spot on the wall, and you stand up on your toes. And then, if you can, you take your arms. You move your arms this way
to the side, straight out and to the side.
And then lower your heels again. It shifts your balance, your sense of balance, really quickly. I do it probably every couple of days.
Well, especially now that we're on Zoom and all of these calls these days, because we're working from home, or
we're sitting too much. We
are sitting too much. It's true. I hosted a workshop, and I actually had a yoga instructor come in for the break and had them do a 15-minute stretching exercise, got people up and moved around, and I think it really helped, because in the rest of the conference and the rest of the online Zoom training that we were doing, people were a little more engaged. They were awake. They were, ready to learn and, grow together. But before that, I could see, the energies just sort of, people were turning off their screens and just, turning off their videos and kind of, maybe disengaging. But after we had the yoga session, it suddenly became maybe a little bit more, reinvigorating. So absolutely, I agree with that. Are you a yoga? Do you practice yoga, Maggie?
I started doing yoga way back in the 1970s when I was living in Oxford in England. And then I've done it on and off, never really seriously or consistently, but I do have a couple of things, maybe about 10 minutes I do every day, just enough to kind of keep me a little bit flexible. Yeah.
Keep you going.
But I wanted to say, in terms of movement and grace, there's someone, I don't know if this would be of interest to you, there's someone I know here, I've helped with some of her writing work. She used to be a ballet dancer. And she started learning ballet when she was about 2 years old, and went to all those big famous ballet schools in New York, and became a professional ballet dancer, and got injured as well, had to stop. And then she went into learning all these different forms of movement modalities and body things. And that's what she does now. She teaches movement on Zoom, and she's done some work with me. It really helped. some of the things that I was going through. So I don't know if you'd be interested in talking to her to get kind of, because she was a ballet dancer, she knows about grace and movement.
Yeah.
She knows how to keep you centered and how to keep your feet on the floor and still feel that, you're not constricted. I'll send you her name, and if you want to contact her.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe we can have her on the show. She can give us some pointers on that, especially since we're all sitting and doing Zoom and all these things so much now. We need to have that movement and be centered and have that balance for sure.
Yeah, I'll send you. Her name is Ruth Alpert. I'll send you her contact information. And if you want to contact her, she might be a great person for your show because she works with a lot of business people, obviously. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about you and just some things that you're doing now. One thing I like to share with our listeners is how you are marketing your business and what seems to be working for you, and how, we're in marketing, right? So I always like to ask marketing people who, what are they doing to help market themselves? So what are some things that are working for you, Maggie?
Okay, what works best for me is networking. I do a lot of networking, and now, of course, it's all online. Mm-hmm. And so do a lot of networking and referrals. Networking and referrals are the big thing for me right now. And of course, referrals, you have to ask for them. Most people don't think of referring. You have to actually go out and ask for referrals because people don't think, and then you have to ask them in the right way, not just who do you know, but like, do you know anyone in your networking group? Do you know anyone in your PTA? You have to be very specific, give them their mind something to hook on to. Otherwise, if you just say, do you know anyone who could use my service? It's like this big kind of cloud and their minds don't know where to go to. So there's that. But what I'm doing now, I'm shifting that as well. It's still going to be networking, but what I'm doing now, and I'm just getting this built up right now, I'm starting a Facebook group that's going to be, and it's called The Magic of Mindset and Marketing.
Nice. I like it.
And it's going to be, I was just this morning working on figuring out how to do an application form so I can capture email addresses and put them on my email list. I'm going to start a Facebook, and that is going to be, since we're all at home anyway, I'm going to make that, it takes a while to build that up, but when that gets built up, I'm going to make that the core of my business. Because a lot of people are doing, I know about, at least offhand, about 6 different people who have Facebook groups, and that's all they do.
Right. We've been building ours too. Yeah. Marketing Expedition members group. And now I think there's officially 600 people that we're getting, continuing to build, right? It does take time to build it and organically grow it. And
yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's, for me, it's going to be a group where people can actually be engaged, not a group like in the group we met in where the only people who could post were the owners of the group. That to me defeats the whole purpose. Where there's no engagement, you don't get to know the other people in the group. That's, if it's only about me making money off the members, that doesn't work for me. It's like, how can we connect, not just connect you with people with me, but how can other people connect with each other and help each other? I want it to be a kind of a connecting place as well. And the people I know have had really successful groups. That's how they do it.
Right.
And they have very strict guidelines about what people can and can't do as well. So I'm working on that. I hope to get that started in the next week or so. And that when I get that up and running or get that built to a certain point, then I'll probably shift everything over to that.
Nice.
All my networking. Because really, as you know, Ray, it's all about building relationships with people. I mean, the old, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Kind of old pushy sales stuff.
That doesn't work anymore. Not at all.
It doesn't work anymore. But I'm surprised at the people I know who I thought knew more who promote that, and that's the way they do their business. It's money. It's all about the money, and don't unless you're going to make money. No, I think do things if you can be of service and help people, and the money will come from that. Because you're building solid relationships.
So giving value, and people like to do things with people that they know, like, and trust. So make it to where they can trust you. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my approach. Yeah. So that's kind of what's in the offing, and hopefully it'll be up and running in the next week or so.
Excellent. Now, any plans to write a book or do a podcast or anything like that?
Not right now. Well, I'm writing a book, but it's nothing to do with business. Personal book. So I spent in the late 70s, I quit my corporate job. The first time I quit, and then I went back. I quit my corporate job, and I got rid of everything I possessed, And I packed my backpack and I traveled around the world for 2 years. I literally went around the world once in
Wow.
1978 to 1980 or something like that. I'm writing a book about that because I had some like wild and woolly adventures along the way. Because I traveled mainly in underdeveloped countries, not in Europe or the USA.
Goodness.
So that book got stalled a number of years ago for a number of reasons. But the podcast, I hadn't really thought of that. I think it's probably something I could do at some point, but I haven't really thought of it.
You could build upon with your, magic mindset in marketing and build up as a part of what you're doing for sure. Down the road anyway.
Yeah. I think sure. When I'm ready. Yeah. I'm not. It's like right now, I'm focusing on first of all get this Facebook group set up because I'm my acupuncturist told me the other day. He said your brain is tired. Stop working. I said,
your brain is tired. Oh goodness.
So I'm not pushing things right now. I'm taking it a little bit easier than I normally would. So I don't want to overwhelm myself with too many ideas, but podcast or something similar, I don't know if it's podcast or something else, is definitely on the horizon because I think it's a great way to get exposure.
Right. Well, and you being the copywriter that you are, maybe that could be another skill set that you can use and do for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, to promote my podcast. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But I do have a number of programs I developed a number of years ago that need to be upgraded. I have a program I call the Foundations of Marketing. And I called my program, Why Should They Do Business With You?
Right. Yeah.
So I need to upgrade it. It's old fashioned. I did it on conference calls, and there are really no visuals to speak of. I'm going to upgrade. I've got about 3 programs like that. I'm going to upgrade those and start putting those out. Once I get the Facebook group up, I can start putting those out there as well. So that's kind of like probably the next thing I will do is make use of the assets that I have already.
Oh, good.
Or get them up to. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, any other kind of words of wisdom or ideas or inspiration that you want to share with our Marketing Expedition listeners today?
I think in terms of marketing, well, they probably know this from you already, Ray. In terms of marketing, don't necessarily follow the crowd.
Right.
Figure out who's your audience, where do they hang out, what are they going to respond to, and if there's something that the crowd, everybody out there saying, do this, do that. If you don't like it, don't do it. If it's not going to be fun, don't do it. I'm a big believer in only do what's fun for you and what you can be good at. Now you might as well learn to be good at it, but if it's not going to be fun for you, don't do it. It'll be too much of a struggle and a fight for you and too stressful.
I have been teaching at Boise State University. It's a university here. And one of the things that I said to my students was, when you're working with a client, you want to have it be fun, fame, and fortune. Fun, is it going to be fun to work with? Fun, fame, and fortune, right? Fame, are you going to get referrals? Are you going to have, networking opportunities? Are they going to, recommend you? Could you maybe get accolades and awards? And then fortune, are you going to make any money? Right? Fun,
yeah, right.
Fortune.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. So, it's, and that's it. So if it's not fun, if it's not fun, if you have your own business, if you're working for a corporation, you're an employee, you don't have a choice. You got to do what they tell you to do. But in your own business, if you have to be self-motivated and you're it and you have to keep doing everything, if it's not fun, at some point you'll give it up.
Yeah. And why do it if it's just not going to be fun? Right.
Why do it if it's not fun?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Well, Maggie, I know you have the beautiful sunny weather ahead of you. I know it's maybe not at the moment, but I want to just encourage you to share that with us and share what you said that you early on you didn't want to do this career because everybody where you're at is happy, so you didn't want to have to help those who weren't, but just share a little bit about your surroundings and kind of the mindset that you get to have every day when you help others and when you help them with their mindset in marketing.
Oh, it is so much fun. It is so fulfilling and satisfying to see someone have that, oh my God, that aha moment. Yes. It's like, it's all worth it when they get the aha. It's like, oh my goodness, that's why I do what I do. And then if they're that, then we come back and we have our next session and they've actually implemented something based on the aha. That's even better. If not, then you should go back and say, so why didn't you implement? It was such a big aha. Why did you do nothing with it? There's something else then that we should dig into.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's just seeing the looks on their faces, because if I do long distance, I do Zoom. Sometimes I do phone only. It depends on the client. Sometimes I do phone because I can hear a lot in people's voices. The tone of voice and the verbiage they use tells me a lot sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, so that's it. Like watching people get ahas.
And Maggie, how can they get a hold of you? How can they get their aha moment from you? Where can they go? How can they sign up or do things with you?
They can go to my website, which is mymarketingmessage.com. Now, the website is still very focused on the messaging part. I'm in the process of updating that to include the marketing and mindset. So that's a place they can get in contact with me, or via Facebook. I'm on Facebook at Maggie Dennison.
And that's 2 N in Dennison's, by the way.
two N and 1 S.
Right. Okay.
Or phone. My phone number is 805-965-9173. And that's Pacific Standard Time in the US.
Correct. Okay. Excellent.
That's a textable cell phone. The text is fine as well.
Text is good for me too, man. That's the best thing. Well, thank you so much, Maggie, for being on the Marketing Expedition podcast with us. And I hope that this will help you in some way and help our listeners from what you had to share with us. Thank you for giving us your words of wisdom. And the most fun part for me was listening to your beautiful accent.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
Thank you for having me as well. Yeah, and I always say I grew up in Northern Ireland and I still have the accent to prove it.
That's right.
But here's the funny thing. When I talk to my sister who's always lived in Northern Ireland, she says, "You sound so American."
Oh, so when they hear you, they think that you're...
And when she comes here to visit, the first step, I just keep saying, "Liz, can you slow down? I have no idea what you're saying." Because the accent's so thick, I don't understand it anymore. Anyway, that's nice. But thank you as well, Ray, for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, enjoy the marketing journey until next time. And please be sure to subscribe and share and recommend and rank and like and all the things that you need to do in order to help us help you.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Find more online at peppershock.com. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.